I am Lizzy with Long Distance Gamers. We are a group of friends who play games remotely due to living in different states. Today we are talking about Euphoria. What do I think about it? And more importantly, how do we play it remotely? Now before we get started, there are two different sides. The side running the game, they for sure have a copy and they play the game mostly like normal. The remote side may or may not have a copy. We will be going over how the remote side sets up and how the remote side responds to the game. So this is Euphoria's setup for remote play. The first thing that the running side has done has gone through and separated all of these out. We have the people based on their allegiance. And then we have all the items based on their specific type. And then all the locations based on their starting resources. So for instance, we have for lightning, for food, for bliss, so on and so forth. The next thing that will happen will be the running side will go ahead and show us our specific card. So it might be this Fights the Oppressor. So we'll go ahead and go through the deck, find this, and put it out. So that way in front of us. So that way we have what we need. And then the next thing they do is the running side will go ahead and show us our 4 starting characters. We will of course be choosing 2 of them to keep, 2 to discard. One will start face up in front of us, and then the other ones will start face down. So for instance, these might be our starting 4. So we would go through the Icarite deck for both of these, the Wastelander deck, and the Euphorian deck. So the Icarite deck you would of course just go through until you find your person. When it comes time to deciding which ones you want to keep, the running side will just hold them out so that you can see them. And then you just agree on which side is 1. So for instance, this is 1. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I would say I want to keep my 1 and my 2. So these 2 will go ahead and go back to their individual piles. And then between these 2, they would then hold them up. And then you decide which one you want to start with. So for instance, I might want to start with Lee the Gossip. So again, you just choose on which one is 1 and which one is 2. So 1, 2. So I would say I'm going to go ahead and start with my number 2. And then the other one will go ahead and go face down. Brixie and Kitty would go ahead and say which ones they're doing. So maybe Kitty would do Sir Scabby the Harvester. And Brixie would do Curtis the Propagandist, for instance. So I know what ones they're going for. They know this one, and they do not know this one, of course. And then the next thing everyone does is roll the dice. Thankfully, these are just 6-sided dice. They're fancy. They're awesome looking. However, if you do not have a copy of the game, you can just roll normal 6-sided dice and be the same thing. So I would roll 2 and a 3, so that's 5, plus my 3, so I'm less than 16, so I'm good. So say Kitty gets a 2 and a 5, we would turn hers there, and then say Brixie gets 2 1s. So he would be there. And I would just set their dice up. When you go to place, you just simply state what dice it is that you are placing. So for instance, I might place this 2 die. So since I really want some morale, I need to look at how can I build up my morale. And I can do that by either getting food or bliss when I go to retrieve workers. So considering that I have this other one that really wants to do bliss, I might start focusing on the Euphorians to try to really focus that up to try to get that up there. So I might go ahead and take the 2, place it out. So I get 1 bliss, and the Icarites go up once. And then Kitty might come out to here to get some food. And I'll go up once, she'll get 1 food. And then Brixie might place one of his 1s down here to bring his up and get a water. Then it would come back to me and I would just say I'm placing my 3 on the cloud mine, which thankfully these are all labeled, which is really nice and easy for saying where you want to go. So when I place the 3, I go ahead and add up my dice. I have 5, so I'm in this 5 to 8, so I go ahead and get a bliss, and I lose an intelligence. I lose a knowledge. And then maybe Kitty wants to go ahead and come over here, so she has 7 over here. She gets another food, and she gets to lose an intelligence, and I had moved mine instead of hers. Oh well, we're both there now. And then Brixie's like, well, I'm not going to let you guys have all the fun. I'm going to go ahead and go place my other 1 on the aquifer, which moves this up, making it so that water is very nice for him, and he gets another water. And then obviously our turns are going to be to retrieve the dice. So this continues on. You just will say, I'm going to place my 2 or my 3 or whatever the role might be in either the breeze bar or the sky lounge. Maybe I want to place it down here in the generator. This continues on until you get cards or you unlock these. So for instance, if we are here, we might be unlocking this. So maybe they would say, okay, it is a electric. So I would know I'm looking in this pile. And then they would just say the name of it. So theater, courthouse, or lounge. So maybe it is the theater. So the theater would get flipped. We would get our dice back, and of course we roll them. And we would each get to place a star. Now Brixie, he gains a intelligence whenever he places a star. So that is going to be what he gets for not placing a star there. And then for the cards, whenever you do get cards, the side running the game can either just hold them up to the camera. So for instance, if I had eventually gotten up to here, if morale was up to 3, I had 3 hand size, they could hold it up to here if I want to play one. Just again, agree on which side is 1. So 1, 2, 3. So I want to play my number 3 card, so that way I can activate this. So I'll go ahead and do that. These come back over here. And then I get a choice. I could either draw 2 recruits and keep 1, or I could place a star. If I place a star, I just simply place a star. If I'm drawing a recruit, they would just hold it up to the camera, and I would just dig through the individual pile until I found the ones that I wanted, choose which one. Again, if these are my 2 choices, we would just agree on which side is 1, so 1 or 2, so I would keep, say, 1, for instance. And that would go face down, unless the Icarites have gone up so far that they could be unlocked. At that point, they would get turned over, so that way all the special abilities would be used. However, since it's not up there yet, they stay face down. And that is basically Euphoria. You continue on until someone has placed all of their stars, all of their influence, at which point the game is immediately over and that player has won the game. There is a slight chance that there can be a tie. For instance, over here, if you would place stars on these, if multiple people have multiples of them, there's a chance that all players could, or one or more players could place out their stars, in which case you would want to go to the tiebreakers, which is in the rule book. So obviously you would go highest in the morale, lowest in the knowledge, most markets, then most territories, and then the die roll of all your active workers until the tie is broken, and of course lowest is best. So that is how you play Euphoria remotely. As you can see, it is very much like in-person play. The only thing you have is just stacks of the cards separated out instead of a big stack. And the hardest thing to do is going through the workers for which ones you have. But you don't do that very often in the game. Mainly, it is just at the beginning, sometimes once during. So not very much at all. This is a game that we just recently started playing, and I have not been able to keep it off the table. I want to keep playing it. There is so much replayability in the box. As you can see, there's only 6 of these locations that will come out. Well, there's a lot more than 6 that are available. And then you see a fraction of these cards, the ability cards. You see just a small fraction of those throughout the game. And then how you play the game is based off of those. Your strategies are very dependent on your people, as well as you're kind of trying to read the other players. So it feels different every time. So this has a very high replayability. And this is a very solid game. It actually gets a 9.5 out of 10 for me. So it has gone up from our initial review. So it's phenomenal. I just keep wanting to play it more. I have the expansion, which adds more replayability, but I feel just the core box, enough replayability for a long time. This game is a great game. I highly recommend it. Go out and get yourself a copy. But until next time, just remember to have fun, be present, and be you. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. Also, if you find value in our content, please like, comment, or subscribe. Let a friend or family member know that we exist. Help us spread our channel and bring remote gaming to a table near you. Thank you very much, and have a great day.